Hi, I'm Haley Mills, one of the podcast producers on Integration Nation. In this series of mini episodes, we are going to talk about different types of self-care. On today's mini episode, Allison is going to talk to you about emotional self-care, what it means, and how to implement this into your self-care routine.
Hi, I'm Allison Sullivan, a licensed clinical social worker, psychotherapist, and you are listening to Integration Nation, a podcast to introduce you to and expand your knowledge about effective, integrative mental health concepts, practices, and approaches. On today's mini episode, we are all up in emotions, my wheelhouse. We are here to talk about emotional self-care, which on the surface it seems pretty straightforward. Duh. It's letting yourself feel. Well, yes, and also it's much more. It's really more about how are we cultivating our relationship with our emotional life. So maybe we need to back up a little bit and describe exactly what your emotional life is. It involves how you experience your life, how you feel about experiences in your heart, in your body. It involves patterns of emotional responses and your awareness and language about emotions. So wow, a lot more than letting yourself have a good cry, which don't misunderstand me. That's a powerful aspect of emotional self-care we'll get to in a minute. So now that we have a better idea about what our emotional life is, how do we care for it? Actually cultivate it. I think a great starting place is with language. Developing emotional literacy, which we talk about a lot in Season 2 of Integration Nation, especially in episode 204, The Lowdown on Letdown. Emotional literacy is the language and comprehension of emotions. It gives us a landscape to work within. So spending time reflecting on how you might be feeling about events and circumstances as they arise is a part of emotional self-care, especially if you question your automatic responses to things. You know, the narratives we all have that just kind of come up instantly, like, well, of course I'm sad. Everyone's sad when they get sick. Well, are they? And more importantly, are you? And how do you know that? That kind of self-inquiry, that kind of like just getting underneath those automatic responses really helps us develop awareness of our authentic feelings. Without judgment, of course, that's pretty key. And helps us care for our emotional life in much the same way as an updated GPS system. It gives us the most accurate information about roadways, obstacles, and where the resources are. In addition to emotional literacy, allowing space for emotional processing is an important part of self-care. Here's where the good cry comes in that I mentioned a few minutes ago. It allows us to shake off any literal emotional weight and the blocks that do interfere with our energy and vitality. In fact, this is a good time to talk about our sponsor because I just attended a Breathe to Heal workshop last night at Dragonfly Yoga, which was all about emotional processing. And another primary reason we are so excited that Dragonfly Yoga Fredericksburg is a sponsor of our podcast. Dragonfly gets it. They've developed a yoga studio that helps you care for your body and mind in a truly safe space. Their studio embodies the idea of holding space, so definitely check them out at dragonflyyogafred.com. Not only do they have a huge class listing, they are always offering incredible workshops like last night's that helped participants to move that emotional energy through their bodies, releasing it and freeing up space to experience life more openly. That's the actual heart of self-care by emotional processing. Okay, so a third way to cultivate a healthy emotional relationship is through emotional management practices. And a powerful one of those practices is gratitude. Research continues to show how gratitude practices decrease stress and increase joy. So spending time daily in a gratitude practice over time actually steers your thinking in that direction, which manages your mindset and heart space. It just creates a friendlier landscape, if you will, a landscape we talked about earlier that you enjoy, not that you can just survive and get through, but that you actually enjoy being a part of. As Dan Siegel says, what wires together fires together. And the more time we spend with gratitude, the more we will find it. So the three ways that we talked about today to be able to practice emotional self-care are emotional literacy, emotional processing, and emotional management. Thanks so much for joining us today. We value you and your time and want to meet you where you are. Contact us with your comments and questions on our website, Allison'sIntegrativeHealth.org, and please consider leaving us a rating and review because it really helps us to spread and expand access to these important topics.
In this mini episode, Allison defined what emotional self-care is, provided questions to help figure out if emotional self-care is appropriate for you, and outlined practical ways to include it in your daily life. Integration Nation is a podcast that introduces people to and expands people's understanding of integrative health. For regular information about mental health tips and tools, subscribe to our newsletter at Allison'sIntegrativeHealth.org.